I'm 83 years old. My name is Laura Grace. I've been living alone for 15 years now since Vincent died, and I've learned something that took me too long to understand. There's a moment when you realize no one is coming to check on you. No one is going to notice if you haven't left the house in 4 days, if you've stopped eating real meals, if you've fallen in the bathroom and can't get up. That moment happened to me on a Tuesday afternoon, standing in my kitchen, realizing I hadn't spoken to another human being in nearly a week. The silence was so complete, I could hear my own breathing, and it scared me more than I want to admit. So I want to talk with you, not lecture, just share what I've learned about the things to avoid when you're living alone as an older woman, because there are mistakes I made that almost destroyed me. Small things that don't seem dangerous until suddenly they are. If you're living alone now or think you might be someday, this is for you. And what I didn't understand back then was how quickly you can slip into patterns that feel normal until they're not. The first thing, and this is the big one, the one everyone warns you about, but it's easier to fall into than you think, is complete isolation. After Vincent died, I thought I was doing fine. I had my routines, my house, my quiet. But weeks would go by without real conversation. Just the checkout clerk at the grocery store, the mailman if I caught him. I didn't notice at first how quiet everything had gotten, how small my world had become. One day I realized I hadn't spoken to another person in 4 days, 4 entire days, and it didn't even seem strange anymore. That scared me because isolation doesn't announce itself. It creeps in slowly, one declined invitation at a time, one phone call you don't make. One day you realize you've forgotten what it sounds like to have someone talk back to you. I started small, called my sister Jean once a week just to talk about nothing important, the weather, what we were making for dinner, joined a book group at the library. Didn't even like half the books they picked, but I went anyway, because here's the thing I learned. You can't wait until you feel lonely to start connecting. By then, it's harder. You've lost the habit of being around people. You have to be intentional about it, even when you don't feel like it, maybe especially then. The book group saved me, honestly, not because of the books, but because every other Thursday I had a reason to get dressed, a reason to be somewhere, a reason to hear human voices say things to me directly. The second thing is neglecting your health. When Vincent was alive, he'd remind me about doctor's appointments, ask if I'd taken my pills. I hated it at the time, felt like nagging, felt controlling. Now there's no one to remind me, and it's so easy to let things slide. I'll think I should make that appointment, and then I don't. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. One year I went almost 18 months without seeing my doctor. Told myself I felt fine, didn't need to go. When I finally went, my blood pressure was dangerously high, had been for who knows how long. The doctor looked at me and said, "Laura, you could have had a stroke. You're lucky." That shook me. That really shook me. I realized I'd been treating my body like it didn't matter, like it was someone else's responsibility. So now I write everything down. Doctor appointments on the calendar, pills in a weekly organizer so I can see if I've taken them. I set reminders on my phone, even though I'm not great with phones. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I once set a reminder for my pills, and when it went off, I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. Just kept beeping at me for 10 minutes while I pressed every button. Vincent would have laughed at that. But the point is, I do it because there's no one else watching out for me now. That's my job. That became my job the day I became alone. and I take it seriously now in a way I didn't before. The third thing is ignoring safety concerns. When you're younger, you don't think much about safety at home. You just live. But when you're older and alone, every risk feels bigger. Every corner becomes a hazard. I knew a woman, Dorothy, lived 3 streets over. She fell in her bathroom, cracked her hip, lay there for 6 hours before anyone found her. 6 hours on that cold tile floor, alone, in pain, scared. That could have been me. That almost was me once. After I heard about Dorothy, I got one of those medical alert buttons, the kind you wear around your neck. Press it if you need help. Felt silly wearing it at first, like admitting I was old, fragile. But then one afternoon I did fall, just a slip in the kitchen, nothing broken. But I couldn't get up right away, and I was so grateful to have that button. Just knowing I could call for help if I needed it, that changed everything. I also put better lights in the hallways, the bathroom, anywhere I walk at night. Got rid of all the throw rugs, every single one. They're pretty, but they're dangerous. Pay attention to this detail because it's going to matter later. These seem like small things, but they matter because when you live alone, a small accident can become a big problem fast. You don't have time to wait for someone to find you. You have to prevent the fall before it happens. The fourth thing is developing unhealthy habits. And this one surprised me, how easy it was to slip into patterns I never would have when Vincent was here. Eating habits went first. I'd make a sandwich for dinner, standing at the counter, not even sitting down. Or I'd skip dinner altogether, just have crackers and cheese in front of the TV because who was I cooking for? Just me. And that didn't seem worth the effort. But after a few months of that, I felt terrible. Tired all the time, no energy. Took me a while to connect it to how I was eating. I started making myself sit at the table, even if it was just a simple meal, even if I was alone. Set a place, used a real plate, not paper. Sounds silly maybe, but it helped. Made meals feel like something again, not just fuel, not just something to get through. Same thing happened with exercise. So easy to stop moving when no one's watching. I'd spend whole days in my robe, not getting dressed, not going outside. Had to force myself to walk, even just around the block every morning. Because your body doesn't care that you're alone. It still needs taking care of. And honestly, that walk saved me some days. Getting out, seeing neighbors, feeling the sun. Some days that was the only reason I got out of bed. The fifth thing is letting your home become a burden. This house, Vincent and I bought it 40 years ago. Raised 5 children here. It's full of memories. Every room holds something. But after he died, it started feeling too big, too much to manage. The yard needed mowing. Gutters needed cleaning. Little repairs I didn't know how to do. I'd walked past the broken porch step for months, just avoided it, stepped over it. One day my daughter Linda came to visit and asked why I hadn't fixed it. I just said I'd been meaning to. Truth was, I didn't know how and didn't want to ask for help. But eventually I had to accept it. This house was too much for one person. I hired someone to mow the lawn, found a handyman for small repairs. Cost money I didn't want to spend, but it was worth it because your home should feel like a sanctuary, not a source of constant stress. Some people downsize, move to smaller places. I thought about it, still do sometimes, but I'm still here, just with more help now. And that's okay. That's not failure, that's survival. The sixth thing is losing your sense of purpose. And this was the hardest one for me after Vincent died, after I retired. I didn't know what I was for anymore. Not a wife, not a worker. My children were grown, didn't need me. Days felt empty, like I was just filling time until the end. I'd wake up and think, what's the point? What am I doing this for? That's a dark place to be, darker than I want to remember. It took a while to find my way out. I started small, began volunteering at the library once a week, just shelving books, nothing important. But it got me out of the house, gave me a reason to get dressed, to show up somewhere, and slowly I started feeling useful again. Then I started walking Emma home from school a few days a week, my neighbor's little girl. Sarah, her mother, works and it helps her. These small things, they gave me purpose, not grand purpose, just enough. You don't need some big mission. You just need something, anything that makes you feel like you matter. And let me tell you something. When Emma grabs my hand walking home from school, when Sarah leaves me a plate of food, when I'm at the library and someone asks me where a book is and I know, that's enough. That's everything. The seventh thing is feeling like you have to do everything alone. I was so stubborn about this, so proud. Thought asking for help meant I was weak, that I'd failed somehow. When my oldest offered to help with yard work, I said, no, I can handle it. When my daughter wanted to take me to doctor's appointments, I said, no, I can drive myself. I can do it. I can do it. Until one day I couldn't. And I'd made it so hard to ask because I'd spent so long insisting I was fine, that I didn't need anyone. Finally, my sister Jean just showed up one Saturday, didn't ask, just came over and helped me organize my medications, set up a system, talked through everything. And I cried right there at the kitchen table because I'd needed that help for months, but couldn't admit it. There's no shame in needing help. There's only shame in suffering alone when you don't have to. The eighth thing is neglecting your home environment. After Vincent died, I stopped caring about the house, let things pile up, didn't clean like I used to, mail stacked on the table, dishes in the sink, laundry in baskets for weeks. Didn't seem to matter. No one was coming over. No one would see. But I saw, and it affected me more than I realized. I'd wake up to clutter and mess, go to bed the same way, and it made everything feel heavier. One afternoon, my friend from church stopped by unexpected. I was so embarrassed, made excuses, kept her at the door. That night I looked around, really looked, and saw what I'd been living in. Started small, cleaned one room, then another. Took weeks, but once it was done, I felt lighter, like I could breathe again. Your environment matters, even if you're the only one who sees it. A clean, organized space isn't vanity, it's self-respect. The ninth thing is losing track of time. When you live alone, especially after you retire, days blur together. Monday feels like Thursday. Thursday feels like nothing at all. I'd wake up and not know what day it was, had to check the calendar. At first, I thought that was freedom, no schedule, no obligations. But it started making me feel unmoored, aimless. So I created a routine, small but consistent. Library on Tuesdays, grocery shopping on Fridays, church on Sundays. Nothing exciting, but it gave my week shape, helped me feel less like I was just drifting. You don't need to fill every hour, but you need some structure, some anchor points. Otherwise, time just disappears. And when time disappears, so do you. The 10th thing is holding on to too much out of sentimentality. Vincent's clothes stayed in the closet for 3 years. Couldn't bring myself to move them. His shoes by the door, his coffee mug in the cabinet. Thought keeping them meant keeping him somehow. But after a while, I realized those things weren't him. They were just things. and they were keeping me stuck, keeping me in a house that was part memorial, part home. Finally, with my daughter's help, I went through everything, kept a few pieces that really mattered, a sweater, his watch, donated the rest. It was hard, one of the hardest things I've done, but after, the house felt lighter, like I'd made room to breathe again. You can honor memories without being buried by them. The 11th thing is skipping emergency preparedness. Last winter, we had a power outage. Storm knocked out electricity for 2 days. I wasn't prepared. No flashlight with working batteries, no extra food that didn't need cooking. Phone died the first night. Couldn't call anyone. Sat in the dark and cold, alone, scared. When the power came back, first thing I did was make an emergency kit. Flashlights, batteries, canned food, water, charged phone backup. List of emergency contacts written down, not just in my phone. Because when you live alone, you have to think about these things. No one else will. And the 12th thing is financial disorganization. Vincent always handled the finances, bills, investments, all of it. When he died, I didn't know where anything was, what we had, what we owed. Took me months to sort through it all. Found bills I'd been paying twice, subscriptions I didn't know we had, money going places I couldn't track. It was overwhelming. Finally got help from my oldest. He sat with me, went through everything, set up a system. Now I know what comes in, what goes out, where everything is. I wish I'd learned this earlier. Wish I hadn't depended on someone else completely. Because when you're alone, you need to know. You need to understand your own finances. It's not about being perfect. It's about not being lost. I think about that summer in '74 sometimes, when I thought someone else would always be there to handle the hard things. Didn't know then that I'd end up doing it all myself. And you know what surprised me the most? I could. I learned. It wasn't pretty. It took time, but I did it. Living alone isn't what I thought it would be. Some days it's harder than I expected. Some days it's better. But the mistakes I made, the things I had to learn, they taught me something important. You can be alone without being helpless. You can be independent without being isolated. I'm grateful for quiet mornings in my own house, for learning I'm stronger than I thought, for figuring out how to take care of myself after 68 years of taking care of everyone else. One of my children told me recently that these videos are making people worried, that people are calling their parents because of what I'm saying. And you know what I told them? Good. Someone needs to say these things. Someone needs to tell the truth about what happens when you're alone, not to scare people, but to prepare them. Because being prepared isn't the same as giving up. It's the opposite. It's choosing to stay in your life, choosing to keep living on your own terms for as long as you possibly can. If this story reached you today, if you're scared about living alone, if you're already living alone and you're struggling, leave a comment. Tell me what you're dealing with. I read every single one. And I see you. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. Not by me. If you want to sit with me again, I'll be here. Still learning, still figuring it out, still taking care of myself the best way I know how. Subscribe if you want to keep listening, because every week I sit down at this table and I tell you what I've learned about getting older without disappearing, about staying in your own life, about being alone without being lonely, about taking care of yourself when no one else will. That's the real work. That's what we're doing here. Take care of yourself, whatever that means to you. And remember, being alone doesn't mean you're on your own. There are people listening, people who understand. I'm one of them.